Have you ever opened your refrigerator, looked at all the neatly arranged food, and felt proud, thinking everything here is fresh and safe? Most of us do. We were taught that the fridge keeps food lasting longer. But what if I told you that some of the foods sitting in there right now, yes, the ones you eat every week, are actually losing their flavor, their nutrition, and in some cases, even turning harmful? This isn't a scare tactic. It's a conversation between friends right here in the kitchen. Because after 60, our bodies change. Taste becomes more delicate, digestion more sensitive, and preserving the goodness in our food becomes more important than ever. So make yourself comfortable. Grab a warm cup of tea, and let's explore the 10 everyday foods that should never go in your fridge. You might be surprised, and maybe even say, "Oh no, I've been doing that for years." Before we begin, please tap subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any health tips made just for you. And if you find this topic helpful, give it a thumbs up. Now, let's begin this journey to fresher food and better health together. Number 1. Potatoes. Let me take you back to a Sunday morning in early autumn. I was visiting my neighbor Margaret, a lovely 76-year-old woman who makes the best sweet potato casserole you'll ever taste. As we chatted over tea, she opened her fridge to grab a few things, and right there, next to the milk, were 2 big russet potatoes. She smiled and said, "I keep them in here so they don't go bad too fast." That's when I gently shared something most people don't realize. The refrigerator may seem like the safest place for food, but for potatoes, it's actually one of the worst. You see, when potatoes are stored in cold temperatures like those in a refrigerator, their natural starches start turning into sugar at a much faster rate. This not only changes their taste, making them oddly sweet, but it also alters their texture, making them grainy and less satisfying to eat. And here's where it gets more serious. When those sugar-loaded potatoes are cooked, especially through frying or roasting at high heat, they can produce a chemical called acrylamide. Now, acrylamide isn't something we need to fear every day, but scientists have studied its potential link to certain cancers, especially when consumed regularly over time. For older adults like us, who've worked hard to stay healthy, this is one of those quiet dangers that's easy to avoid once we're aware of it. But it's not just about sugar and chemicals. Cold, damp conditions inside the fridge can also cause potatoes to spoil faster. Moisture encourages mold, softness, and that unpleasant musty smell we've all encountered at least once. It's a frustrating thing to buy good produce only to find it ruined before you get a chance to enjoy it. So, what's the better choice? Store your potatoes in a cool, dark, and dry spot, like a pantry, a cabinet, or even under the kitchen sink if it stays dry. Let them breathe by using a basket, a mesh bag, or a simple paper sack. Avoid plastic, which traps moisture and speeds up decay. And one more thing, don't store them near onions. Onions release gases that can cause potatoes to sprout or rot faster. These small shifts in storage may seem insignificant, but they truly matter, especially at our age when every bite of food should nourish, not harm our body. Making thoughtful changes like this helps us preserve both the flavor and safety of the meals we lovingly prepare. Number 2. Tomatoes. A few summers ago, I was visiting my cousin Linda in Ohio. She's 73, a retired librarian with a tiny backyard garden that she tends to with great pride. That afternoon, she handed me a small basket of tomatoes she just picked, still warm from the sun, their scent rich and earthy. We sliced one open right there at the table, sprinkled just a bit of salt, and the flavor was incredible. Sweet, tangy, alive. Later, when I got home, I tried the same thing with a tomato from my refrigerator, but it was nothing like Linda's. It was mealy, bland, and cold in a way that stripped all the joy from it. Many of us, without even realizing it, have been doing our tomatoes a disservice. When we store them in the fridge, we're not preserving freshness, we're halting nature. Cold air interrupts the enzymes that help tomatoes develop their full taste and aroma. Instead of ripening into something vibrant and satisfying, refrigerated tomatoes turn dull and lifeless. That juicy burst you remember from your younger years? It fades with every chilly hour. But the real loss isn't just flavor, it's nutrition. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, an antioxidant known for supporting heart health and reducing the risk of certain cancers. Cold temperatures can reduce this valuable compound. For older adults, when every bite matters more than ever, we deserve food that truly nourishes us. The good news? Tomatoes thrive at room temperature. Keep them out on the counter, stem side down, where they can breathe and continue to ripen naturally. Only when they're fully ripe and you absolutely can't eat them right away should they go into the fridge, and even then, let them warm back up before serving. Tomatoes should be full of life. Just like us, they shine best when given the right care and space to grow. Number 3. Onions. Onions are one of those kitchen essentials we reach for almost every day, whether it's for soups, stir-fries, or a savory omelet in the morning. But storing them in the refrigerator, as many people do without a second thought, can quietly ruin their quality. Cold and damp environments like the fridge trigger changes in the natural sugars and starches inside an onion. Instead of staying crisp and firm, they begin to soften, becoming soggy or even slimy over time. The flavor also starts to shift, sometimes turning overly sweet, sometimes musty. Even worse, the moisture encourages mold growth, especially around the root ends or between the papery layers. There's another often overlooked problem: odor contamination. Onions are notorious for their pungent aroma. When stored in the fridge, that strong smell doesn't stay confined. It can seep into nearby foods like fruit, dairy, or baked goods. Imagine reaching for butter or milk and finding it faintly tainted with onion. It's unpleasant and unnecessary. As we age, our sense of smell becomes more sensitive in some ways, and small changes in food aroma can affect appetite and enjoyment. Preserving freshness isn't just about food safety, it's about keeping our meals satisfying and joyful. The best way to store whole onions is in a cool, dry, and well-ventilated area, like a pantry, a lower kitchen cabinet, or a mesh basket on the counter. Air circulation prevents moisture buildup and extends their shelf life. Avoid plastic bags, which trap humidity and accelerate spoilage. Also, keep onions away from potatoes. Though both are pantry staples, potatoes release gases that cause onions to sprout or rot more quickly. If you've already cut an onion, it's fine to refrigerate it, but only if it's tightly wrapped in plastic or sealed in an airtight container. This helps protect both the onion and everything else in your fridge. Storing onions correctly might seem like a small detail, but it plays a big role in maintaining flavor, reducing waste, and keeping your kitchen a place of comfort and care. Number 4. Garlic. Garlic is one of those ingredients that feels like it's been with us our whole lives. For many older adults, it's more than just flavor. It's the aroma of family dinners, the beginning of beloved recipes, and a reminder of home. From hearty stews to slow-roasted vegetables, garlic brings warmth and richness to our meals. But how we store it can quietly steal all of that away. It might seem harmless to toss a few garlic bulbs in the fridge, especially if you're trying to keep them fresh. But cold, humid air does something unusual to garlic. It makes it sprout. Those green shoots you see growing from the cloves might look innocent, but they bring a sharp bitterness that throws off the entire taste of your dish. The flesh of the garlic becomes softer, loses its punch, and may even start to mold or spoil faster than you'd expect. For people who cook less frequently or live alone, it's easy to forget a bulb at the back of the fridge, only to find it unusable when you finally reach for it. Even more concerning is that garlic, like a sponge, tends to absorb the smells of other foods in a cold environment. One woman I knew, a retired teacher named Ruth, used to say her garlic once tasted like the leftover fish stew she stored nearby. That's the last thing you want when making a delicate pasta sauce or soup for visiting family. Thankfully, garlic thrives when stored the old-fashioned way, just like our mothers and grandmothers did. Keep whole bulbs in a dry, well-ventilated space like a basket or mesh bag. Let the air move around them and avoid plastic or sealed containers that trap moisture. This simple habit allows garlic to stay firm, flavorful, and ready whenever you need it. Once you separate the cloves from the bulb, try to use them within a few days. And if you crush or chop garlic in advance, only store it in the fridge if it's tightly sealed. If you're preserving garlic in oil, always refrigerate and use within a week to avoid the risk of bacterial growth. As we get older, small kitchen choices like this become more meaningful. They protect our health, preserve the flavor we've always known, and help us continue cooking with the same heart and confidence we always have. Garlic isn't just a seasoning. It's a way to keep our meals, our memories, and ourselves full of life. Number 5. Avocados. Avocados have become a quiet favorite in many kitchens. Soft, buttery, and filled with healthy fats that support heart and brain health, especially important as we age. Whether you're topping your morning toast or adding slices to a fresh salad, the avocado is a modern-day comfort food that feels indulgent but gives so much back in nutrition. Yet despite its popularity, many people unknowingly store it the wrong way, and that simple mistake often robs the fruit of its true potential. One common habit is placing avocados straight into the refrigerator, especially when they're still hard. It seems logical. Cold keeps food fresh, right? But for avocados, that cold air interrupts a very delicate natural process. These fruits ripen with the help of a gas they produce called ethylene, and that only works properly at room temperature. If you chill them before they ripen, they may never soften. You're left with an avocado that looks fine on the outside, but remains tough, rubbery, and flavorless inside. Worse yet, it might start to rot from within before it even gets a chance to ripen. On the other hand, if your avocado is already soft and perfectly ripe, the fridge can be a helpful, short-term solution, but only for a day or two. After that, the texture starts to change. What was once smooth and creamy may become watery or fibrous. The nourishing fats begin to break down, and the mild, nutty flavor can turn bland or even sour. For seniors who rely on nutrient-dense, easy-to-digest foods, this loss of quality isn't just about taste. It's about wasting an opportunity to feed your body well. If you've already sliced into your avocado, the exposed flesh reacts quickly with air, turning brown and soft. To slow this, you can lightly coat the surface with lemon or lime juice and store it in an airtight container. That touch of citrus helps delay oxidation, keeping the fruit fresh for just a little longer. And here's a little traditional wisdom. If you want to ripen your avocado faster, place it in a paper bag alongside an apple. Apples release that same ethylene gas, gently speeding up the process without the need for cold air. With just a bit of care and patience, avocados can offer all the richness they're meant to. It's a quiet reminder that timing and gentleness can make all the difference in food and in life. Number 6. Bananas. A few months ago, I visited my sister-in-law Martha in Florida during the spring. She's 68 and known in our family for always having fresh fruit in a bowl on her kitchen counter. Apples, pears, and especially bananas. That morning I noticed something odd. Her bananas looked perfectly yellow, soft, and fragrant. In contrast, the ones I had brought from home, kept in my fridge for convenience, had turned a strange grayish black. I assumed mine were spoiled, but when I peeled one open, it was firm, starchy, and oddly bland. That's when Martha smiled and explained what I later confirmed. The refrigerator had quietly ruined my bananas. Bananas are tropical fruits. They come from a climate of warmth and sunshine, and that's exactly the environment where they thrive, even after they're picked. When you place a banana in the refrigerator, especially before it's fully ripe, you disrupt its natural ripening process. The cold causes what scientists call chilling injury, which breaks down the cells in the skin and flesh. The peel quickly darkens, often within a day, turning brown or even black. It's an unsettling sight. But what's more confusing is that the inside hasn't ripened at all. The fruit remains hard, flavorless, and dry, even though it looks overripe. And no matter how long you leave it out afterward, it never returns to its natural path of softening and sweetening. For older adults, who may reach for bananas as a gentle, potassium-rich snack to support heart health and muscle strength, this is more than just an inconvenience. It's a missed opportunity to nourish the body properly. The banana, so simple and comforting, deserves better care. Instead of refrigerating, bananas should be left to ripen at room temperature. If you hang them on a banana hook or lay them on a breathable surface, they ripen more evenly without bruising. Once they reach that perfect level of sweetness and softness, and if you can't eat them in time, don't toss them, freeze them. Peel them first, cut them into chunks if you like, and store them in an airtight bag or container. They'll be ready for smoothies, oatmeal, or even homemade banana bread. My cousin June, who's 72, keeps a jar of mashed ripe banana in her freezer and swears by it for making the fluffiest pancakes you've ever tasted. The lesson here is simple. Let your bananas breathe. Let them ripen with grace on your kitchen counter. Sometimes the old ways are still the best because they respect the rhythm of nature, and in doing so, they take better care of us too. Number 7. Uncut melons. Every 4th of July, my cousin Harold hosts a big backyard gathering in South Carolina. Burgers on the grill, old songs playing through the speakers, and slices of fresh melon passed around like candy. One year, his wife Jane brought out a tray of cantaloupe, perfectly orange and dripping with sweetness. I couldn't help but notice how much better it tasted than the one I had bought from the grocery store the week before. Mine had been firm, pale, and tasted more like water than fruit. The difference? Jane had let hers ripen fully on the kitchen counter. I had tucked mine into the fridge the moment I got home. Whole melons, whether watermelon, cantaloupe, or honeydew, are living foods. Even after they're picked, they continue to ripen, and that ripening is what deepens their sweetness, enhances their flavor, and brings out the juicy satisfaction we remember from childhood summers. But storing them in the fridge too soon stops that natural process. The fruit's sugar development stalls, and instead of a vibrant, flavorful bite, you're left with something dull and watery. In watermelons, cold temperatures can even damage the cells inside, leading to a grainy, mushy texture. What should be crisp and refreshing becomes disappointing and lifeless. But the loss goes beyond taste. Studies have shown that room temperature storage allows melons to retain more nutrients, especially antioxidants like beta-carotene and vitamin C. These nutrients play a vital role in protecting the body as we age, supporting the immune system, fighting inflammation, and maintaining healthy skin and eyes. For older adults, these aren't just nice extras. They're daily defenses that help us stay strong and feel our best. Once the melon is cut, it's a different story. That's when the fridge becomes your ally. Slice the fruit, seal it in an airtight container or cover it well, and store it for no more than 3 or 4 days. That way, it stays safe and fresh without sacrificing its texture or taste. Letting a melon ripen fully on the counter might take a little patience, but the reward is worth it. You're not just enjoying a better flavor, you're giving your body what it needs to thrive. So next time you carry a heavy, sweet-smelling melon into your kitchen, give it space to finish what nature started. Your taste buds and your health will thank you. Number 8. Bread. Bread has held a place of honor on the family table for generations. Whether enjoyed as a simple slice with butter, part of a comforting sandwich, or toasted beside a warm cup of coffee, it carries more than just nutritional value. It carries tradition and memory. However, the way we store bread can significantly affect its taste, texture, and longevity. One common practice, particularly among older adults aiming to prevent waste, is storing bread in the refrigerator. While this may seem logical, after all, cold preserves many foods, it can actually be counterproductive when it comes to bread. Scientific studies have shown that refrigeration accelerates a process called starch retrogradation. This occurs when the gelatinized starch molecules in baked bread begin to recrystallize. As a result, moisture is expelled from the soft, spongy structure of the bread and redistributed unevenly. The crumb becomes dry and crumbly, while the crust or exterior may become oddly damp due to condensation. This process is significantly hastened in cool environments, such as a refrigerator, especially for sliced bread, which has a greater surface area exposed to air. Research conducted by food scientists at the University of Minnesota confirms that refrigeration can double the rate at which bread stales, compared to storage at room temperature. This scientific reality runs counter to what many people believe, that keeping bread cold will help it last longer. In truth, bread stored at room temperature in a cool, dry area, such as a bread box or pantry, will maintain its quality better over short periods. Using the original packaging or a paper bag with a loose seal helps retain just enough moisture while allowing airflow to prevent mold. For individuals who do not consume bread quickly or live alone, freezing is a far superior method for long-term storage. Freezing halts the retrogradation process entirely, locking in freshness until the bread is thawed or reheated. It is advisable to freeze sliced bread, making it easy to retrieve only what is needed without compromising the rest. When gently toasted or warmed in the oven, frozen bread closely resembles its fresh counterpart, preserving both texture and flavor. Understanding the science behind proper bread storage empowers us to make better everyday choices, especially as we age and become more mindful of nutrition, food waste, and meal satisfaction. Bread, simple as it may be, is deeply woven into our routines and well-being. With just a bit of knowledge and care, it can remain a source of comfort and nourishment, one slice at a time. Number 9. Honey. Honey has been treasured for centuries, not just as a natural sweetener, but as a symbol of health, longevity, and purity. Its value goes far beyond taste. It's a substance revered in ancient cultures for its medicinal properties and remarkable shelf life. Scientific evidence supports what many traditional healers have long known. Honey has natural antibacterial, antifungal, and antioxidant qualities. In fact, studies have shown that honey can help soothe sore throats, support wound healing, and even aid digestion. For older adults looking to simplify their diets while still embracing foods that nourish, honey is one of the most valuable ingredients we can keep in our kitchens. Yet many people, trying to preserve its quality, mistakenly store honey in the refrigerator. While well-intentioned, this habit actually causes honey to deteriorate in a subtle but frustrating way. Cold temperatures accelerate crystallization, a natural process where honey becomes grainy, thick, and difficult to use. It's still perfectly safe to eat, but the texture changes, and the complex floral flavors often become muted. What should be smooth and easy to drizzle into tea or over toast instead turns solid and lumpy, making even a simple cup of warm tea feel like more effort than comfort. Worse still, refrigeration can introduce moisture, especially if the lid isn't sealed tightly. Though rare, excess moisture can lead to fermentation, a process that can alter both the safety and flavor of the honey. Fortunately, honey doesn't need refrigeration at all. The best place for it is a kitchen cupboard or pantry, kept at room temperature in a tightly sealed jar, away from heat and direct sunlight. If crystallization does occur, placing the jar in warm water and gently stirring is enough to restore its smooth texture. With a little understanding and care, honey can continue to be the golden, healing thread woven through our meals and memories, naturally sweet, deeply nourishing, and always there when we need it. Number 10. Olive oil. Olive oil is more than just a cooking ingredient. It's a piece of living history. For many, it represents nourishment, connection, and the quiet rituals passed down from generation to generation. In homes across the Mediterranean and beyond, olive oil has long been used not only to flavor food, but to comfort the body and soul. Whether it's drizzled over roasted vegetables, massaged into tired hands, or stirred into soup on a chilly evening, its presence in the kitchen is both practical and deeply symbolic. But despite its revered role in our lives, olive oil is often stored in a way that quietly diminishes its quality inside the refrigerator. It's understandable why someone might make that choice. Refrigeration is typically associated with preserving freshness, especially for perishable items. But olive oil, particularly extra virgin olive oil, responds to cold temperatures in a very different way. When exposed to the chill of a refrigerator, the oil begins to solidify. It becomes cloudy, thick, and in some cases may form pale waxy clumps that resemble spoilage. While the oil is still technically safe, it loses much of its elegance and ease of use. Pouring it becomes a struggle and the texture feels off. Even more concerning, cycling the oil from cold to warm repeatedly can gradually degrade its taste and reduce the subtle, fruity or peppery notes that define high-quality olive oil. Another often overlooked issue is condensation. In the refrigerator, changes in temperature can lead to tiny droplets of water forming inside the container. That moisture, though small, introduces the risk of spoilage. Water and oil are naturally incompatible, and when water gets into the oil, it can promote bacterial growth or lead to faster oxidation, shortening the oil's shelf life without any visible warning. Olive oil's true enemies are not time or warmth alone. They are heat, light, and air. That's why the best place to store olive oil is in a dark glass bottle or opaque stainless steel container, tightly sealed and tucked away in a cool, dry pantry or cupboard. It doesn't require refrigeration. It simply needs to be shielded from light and heat sources, like stovetops or sunny windows. For older adults especially, who may use olive oil not only for cooking but also for wellness, proper storage helps preserve the very qualities that make it so beneficial. When treated with the same care it has shown us for generations, olive oil remains a symbol of health, warmth, and tradition, something we can continue to pass down, one careful pour at a time. So there you have it. 10 everyday foods that truly deserve a better home than your refrigerator. Not just because it makes them taste better, but because how we treat our food reflects how we care for ourselves. Every tomato left to ripen on the counter, every golden drop of honey stored just right is a quiet act of respect for our health, our traditions, and the people who taught us how to care for a kitchen. As we get older, these small choices start to mean more. They're not just habits, they're memories, values, and a way of saying, I still matter. My food matters. My story matters. So next time you reach for the fridge, take a breath. Think of your mother's bread box, your father's pantry, or the way your grandparents preserved things with patience and pride. That old wisdom still lives in us, and it's worth returning to. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Were you surprised by any of these? Have you been storing something wrong for years without realizing it? Or maybe you've got a family trick that stood the test of time. Share it in the comments. This isn't just a video, it's a conversation between generations. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it too. And don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss a story that feeds both your body and your soul. Here at Life Advice for You, we believe it's never too late to live wiser, eat better, and stay connected to your food, your roots, and to each other. Take care of yourself and your kitchen. That's where the heart of the home still beats.